Hi there friends, it's Stefan from Codewalk Empire. Today we are going to build a blog using Next.js 14 with Tailwind. For the CMS we are going to use Sanity and embed it to our next application. At the end we'll deploy everything to Vercel. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright friends, here is an overview of the blog which we're going to build today. So on the main page we have all the blog posts displayed. We get these blog posts from our CMS Sanity. So if I go here, you can see by the URL it's deployed on. This version is deployed on the Vercel as it's our Next.js application and it's available on the Route Studio. Okay, so you can see we get all the posts from here and also we get all the tags from here. We have ability to add a new tag and also have ability to add a new post. Okay, now let's get back to our app. If I click here, you can see all the content is displayed here. It's a rich text element. Basically with image, we have ability to go on the tag here. And basically this is like a filtering system. It will get us all the posts that include this tag. All the posts also can have a multiple tags. Okay, if I go back and click here, I can see all the tags which we get from our CMS, and they have in the brackets here basically a number of posts which have that tag included. All right, besides that we also have light mode, which is nice, but I prefer more this dark one. Okay, now let's get back to our CMS and add a new blog post. Hi there, YouTube. Okay, we have a possibility to generate automatically a slug. Also, a publish date is basically set for this current one, but we can change it here. Okay, let's now say something here. Is a great blog post. Okay, for the body, first I will add some heading. So this is just some dummy text. I will use lorem ipsum for here. Paste it, and at the end I'm going to upload an image. Okay, so let's, for example, this one. We have a possibility to add alt text for the image. So let's say Firebase logo. All right. And at the end, we can add tags for this post. I will add only Firebase here, so you can see when we type, it recognizes that we already have this tag in our database. So we are adding that one, and I think that's all. We are now publishing the document. Okay, now when I go back to the main page, if I reload here, yeah, you will see we won't see this post immediately because Next is doing a caching for us. And in this project, I set the cache to be in 60 seconds. So basically, when we publish and we go to our page, after 60 seconds, we'll get our post displayed. So if I reload it here, yep, here we go. We can see our post here. You can see it has Firebase tag. So if I go for tags and Firebase, click here, I need to reload the page because of the caching. Okay, so we can see it here. And if I click on the post, there you go. All right, now let's jump into coding. So we are here on the Next.js website and we are going to use a CLI to create a new Next app. I just go here on get started and on installation. So yeah, we need to follow these steps. I will copy this prompt and open my terminal. I will paste this command and press enter. Now Next.js will ask us some questions. First is the name of our project. This will be blog CMS. Would you like to use Typescript? Yes. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes. Would you like to use Tailwind CSS? Yes. We won't be using a source directory. We will be using app router. We'll go here with no, and yep, that's it. All right. Okay, so we now have our Next.js application installed. I can simply type here code and name of our app, and that's blog CMS. If you don't have enabled this command, you can manually just go to your folder and paste it to your Visual Studio Code. Okay, I think we are now set up. Next step is to install a Tailwind plugin. So I'll go back to my browser and type Tailwind CSS. Get started, and if you scroll all the way down there, you will see official plugins. And the plugin which we'll be using, it will be this Tailwind/typography. So basically plugins let you register new styles for Tailwind to inject into user style sheet using JavaScript instead of CSS. And specifically, this typography plugin is usually used to style content blocks that come from sources like Markdown or CMS.database. In our case, we will use it for styling rich text elements coming from Sanity CMS. So, how to do this? You just copy this command here and paste it to our terminal. Okay, that's nice. Also, we need to add one more dependency, and that's npm I next themes. So this is a package that will help us with dark mode implementation. It helps us store theme preferences of the user so we don't get any blinking and screen flashing and so on when screen reloads. Basically, it takes a lot of heavy and repetitive work out of the developer hands. Okay, so now we are set up. But first, we need to go to tailwindconfig.ts, and here we need to add some configuration. Specifically, here in plugins, I will put require. Yep, this is the plugin, Tailwind CSS, and that's all. Okay, now we can save this and run our app. Okay, I'll go to our browser and type localhost 3000. Okay, here is our template. Now we need to clean up a little of this code. First things first, I want to remove all this Tailwind configuration which we got from the Next. Okay, theme is empty. Yep, besides that, I'm going to go to, let me just check it. Yep, we removed this background image. Okay, now I want to go to app and the page folder and remove everything here because we will be starting from scratch. I'll just have a div with h1 saying hello world. We're going to remove this image. And that's all. Okay, besides that, I'm going to go to global CSS and remove everything from here except Tailwind imports. Okay, if I now save, we'll go back here and we can see a blank page. Okay, now we are ready to go. Now, next step is to create our layout. First, we are going to create a navbar. In our app folder, right-click new folder, and I'm going to create the components folder. Okay, inside our components, I'm going to add a navbar.tsx. Now I'm going to use RAFCE, which is a shortcut for creating a component, initial component. If you don't have this extension, I strongly recommend it. This is the one, ES76 snippets. Okay, Now get back to this. I will remove this and I will add some class names, some Tailwind classes. Basically around Navbar it will have some sort of a container. Yeah, so we need to center it with margin. We need to add it max width, which will be 5 XL. It's a Tailwind class. I think it's 1024 pixels. That sounds perfect for a block container. And we'll add some padding on the left and the right. px6, I think that's 24 pixels. Yeah. Okay, now let's create a div, which would be a flex. We'll have on the left side a navbar, and on the right side I will add a button for theme switch. Okay. Class name, flex, justify between, and align item center, which in Tailwind is a class items center. Okay, I will add a height of 64 pixels, which is h-16, and of course full width, just in case. Okay, as I said earlier, on the left side we will have a link, which will import from next/link. Inside our link we'll have a logo, which will basically be a div with a text, dev block. Okay, we'll add some styles to it later. And on the right side, for now I will add a div, which will be like theme, something like that. Okay, I will now save this and we'll get back to this navbar later. Now we need to import this navbar to every page. Luckily, Next.js, actually these newer versions, provide us with a layout.tsx page. In earlier versions, we would need to create on our own layout component and then wrap it around every page. So in this new version of Next, they do that for us. So basically this layout is wrapping up our whole application, and we can use this to add a navbar, since it will be present on every page. Okay, to do so, I will first cut children and add navbar. Yes, and below navbar we'll have our children. So basically that's it. Let me check this. Okay, I forgot to save this. Okay, now if I go back, yeah. So you can see we have successfully imported our navbar here. Okay, now I see one problem here. That's this hello world, that's from our main page, is out of the box, basically out of the container. So in order to fix that, we need to go here to our layout and add some styling to our children prop. Okay, so we'll first add the main tag, semantic HTML tag, and wrap our children with it. Then I'll add some classes, and the class name here actually will be the same as this one, because basically that's the container, right? I will paste here, and voila, that's it. Now maybe we can, I think we now need to consider our themes. Okay, so if you remember earlier, we installed this package called Next Themes. If you go to their documentation, we'll see that detailed instructions on how to set this up. But the problem is here in their documentation, they are using this pages folder structure, and we are using app folder structure. But we can manage this with this way. Okay. First, if you go here, we have this theme provider that we need to wrap our app with. So in our case, we would go to the layout here and wrap everything with this theme provider. And let me do so. This will not work, but let me do so just for you to see. Okay, so I'm going to import this theme provider from Next Themes with this attribute class. And we are here, and I will close it. Okay, so as you can see, we wrap this, and this should work out of the box. But if I go here and reload the page, you will see an error. And why is that? Because in their documentation, they're referring to older versions of Next.js, let's say the version that runs on the client. But our component, all this layout, runs on the server. So basically they don't know what is this. And how to fix that? We need to create our own custom provider. Okay, how to do so? In our app folder, I will first create a new folder called utils, and in utils, new file called provider.tsx. In our provider, first we are going to use this use client directive, which basically tells Next.js that this component will run on client. Now I'm going to import React from React, and also import team provider from Next Teams. Now we are going to create a provider which will have children prop. So now it needs to return, basically this team provider, attribute class, children, and So what's the purpose of this? It's actually our own custom provider which runs on the client, and then we import this here. Okay, this is Typescript error, which says children is type any. So we don't want that. We want to create an interface for our props, which will be, props. That's okay for now. Children, that's true. So children will be React node. Okay, I will assign this prop type, this type here, and that's it. Now, what we need to do? We need to go to our layout and import this provider here. Okay, so instead of this one, we want to import our provider. Sorry for this, we'll remove this and type provider. Okay, and paste it here. We need to export this. And now if I go back here and type provider, we'll have this auto completion, and that's it. Now if I save, we should not have, as you can see, we don't have any errors. So that's fine. That's perfect actually. Okay, now moving on. Next thing is to create a theme switch. But before that, I want to say a few words about this provider. So basically this will be something like a global provider where we're gonna put theme provider as we did it. This theme provider from Next Teams. If you would use, for example, Chakra UI, Chakra's theme provider would go here also. Similar would be for context provider, since you would probably use useState in your context, and that useState needs to run on the client and not on the server. Also, common misconception here is that because we imported this provider component, which runs on the client, this layout also runs on the client, which is not true. All right, now I'm going to create theme switch component and import it to Navbar. So right click to the components folder and theme switch.tsx. Great. Now we'll use our shortcut, and for now I'm only going to add this here button which says theme switch. Now I'm going to the Navbar, and down there I will delete this and import our theme switch component. Okay, let's check that out. Perfect. Here it is. Okay, moving on. Now, how to actually add functionality for switching themes? we'll go back to our package, next/themes, and you can see they provided us here with this documentation. But also, we have this warning here, and this is actually our case because we don't use it on the client, we use it on servers, so they gave us a tips for that to avoid hydration mismatch. It's a common error in this new Next.js 14 version. So how to fix it? Basically, we can import this and import this. This is a custom hook from their package, which we use and in easy way switch themes. But in order to avoid this hydration error, we need to implement it in this way. So let's get started. First, I want to import this use theme from Next themes. Okay, I will paste it here, and then down below, I will add this. Yeah, thank you, Copilot. Okay, next step. If you can see this, use effect only runs on the client, so now we can safely show the UI. So what they are suggesting to us is to first, because use effect runs only on the client, to check when the client actually rendered our UI and then render our button. In our case, it's button. In their case, this select. Okay, so how to do that? We go here and we import use effect from React. Okay, perfect. And now we import this hook. I will just copy paste it here. Copy and paste it here. Okay, so we need to add also use state hook. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what does this code do? We are first checking in use effect, so use effect only runs on the client if the page actually mounted. Let's say it's something like that. Because of that, we are naming this variable like that. So if component did not mounted, we just return null, so nothing, and else if component mounted, we return our theme switch. So now if I save it, we go back here, whoops, we see an error. And why? Like it says here, it only works on client component. You're importing component that need use state. So in order to fix this, we need to go up and write our use client directive. Why do we need this? Because the theme provider, this use theme, runs on the server. But the theme provider is rendered on the client. And that causes this mismatch in the initial theme state. Like their documentation mentioned, they don't know where I saw that. Yeah, because we cannot know the theme on the server, many of the values returned from use theme will be undefined until mount on the client. So because of that, we need to run it on the client. Yeah. This is safe to do because the theme switch is only rendered on the client, so we do not have to worry about anything else. If I save this now and go back to our application, everything is functional, up and running. Okay, now in our theme switch here, just to check if everything is working, I will do something like, something like this. We can add on-click event and fire a callback function, which will actually set the theme. So if the current theme is dark and you click, it needs to become light, yeah? Else it is dark. I think this is self-explanatory, right? And in order to actually show that on UI, yeah, I will use this recommendation from Copilot. So if the theme is dark, we'll have here light switch and vice versa. Okay, let me just refresh this. Click. Refresh. Dark. Light. Okay, great. Perfect. This is working. One thing we forgot here is actually to add some base stylings in our layout here, in our main, in our body actually. If you remember this design, we had this kind of purple color for the dark mode, and for the light mode, some sort of white color. Yeah, okay. What I want to do here, I want to first start with the font. I don't want this inter font. I want a font called Fira, if I remember correctly. Let me import it. Yeah, Fira code. So this is a great thing about Next.js 14, and I think they implemented this in version 13. We can directly import fonts from Google Fonts in our Next application. So how to do that? I will say Fira code. Yeah, exactly. Same thing, we imported this inter font. Okay, and now I don't want here to be inter, I want it to be Fira code. And guys, just in case you don't know, you can always click here. I'm on my Mac, I'm holding command and I click here. And now you can see all the props this font has. So it has font weight, style, display, and so on and so on. Okay. We are going to use this, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on to styling, I will just comment this, and you see this, we have another font. Perfect. Now I want to add classes to this body, and to do so, first I need to cut this and add backticks, paste the font, and now I can continue adding classes. First, height full, background, I want to use this amber 50, which is some light, yeah, it's not actually white, some yellowish white, let's say it's something like that. That's perfect. For the text, I want to use indigo, this dark version. Okay, yeah, perfect. And now, how to apply classes to dark mode? Actually very easy in Tailwind. You need first to add dark. Okay, and now apply styling, whatever you like. I will first start with background, BG slate, this dark version. And when we have dark we have dark mode text, I want it to be now amber 50, this yellowish. Okay, perfect. Okay, moving on. Let's go back to our code and see what we can add here also. Okay, I want, when we have dark, to add this selection, BG purple 500. Oops, sorry. Yes. So what did I do here? This. Okay, moving on. Next. Let me just apply prettier, and I think we are all set up. Now I can add this, instead of this text, some icons actually. And to do so, I'm going to my browser and type svg repo. So this is a free repo of svg icons where you can search and find icon you like. So first I want to type sun. So feel free to choose whatever. I will choose this one. And also you can customize this icon. I want to, let's say, have purple color here, this purple. So to do so, you can just go here and apply styles. I will cut the video here, guys, export all these images, and I will get back to you. Also, all these images will be on my GitHub repo, so no worries. All right, friends, here we are again. And now, as you can see, I like this kind of purple for my icons. So I downloaded them. They are on my desktop, as you can see here. Yeah. So these are SVGs. I can drag and drop them to my Visual Studio. Yeah. Sorry, to my VS Code. Okay. I don't want to use them as images because in HTML we have support for SVGs. So I think the best practice here is to create in our components folder a new file called icons.tsx. And then here we can use it as functions, as components actually. So export const, and this icon will be sun icon. And then it needs to return a SVG. Okay, and this SVG, here it is. I will just copy it, Command C, and paste it here. Oops, sorry for this. My bad. This is an arrow function. Apply prettier, and that's it. I think I can close it now. And now here I want to create export const. Yeah, exactly. Moon icon, which will return us something similar. Okay, here we need to return an SVG. So this is my moon icon. I will just drag and drop it here. It will create a new temporary file, and I will copy it, kill it, and paste it here. Okay, perfect. Next step is to first kill all these things we don't need. Page, okay, layout, okay, fine, perfect. Now we can go back to our theme switch, and instead of displaying here a string in this button, we can display our icons now. So if the theme is dark, I want to use to see sun icon, and else if the theme is light, I want to see a moon icon. Oops, sorry for my spelling. Moon icon. Yeah, exactly. That's the one. If I save this now and go back to our application, yes, perfect. And if I click here, so we have an issue here, and that's because we implemented our class to our layout. Let me just go there. Okay, so here you can see we have class for white and class for dark. And now we have a problem, which we will solve easily. We'll just need to go to Tailwind CSS dark mode. Yeah, that's the link, and here. Okay, so if you can see by default, this prefers color scheme, CSS media feature. If you want to toggle dark mode manually, so we don't want to use system color mode, we need to add this preference, this class strategy in our Tailwind config.js. Now we're going back to our code and Tailwind config. Yep, and only need to say dark mode class. Okay, perfect. Let's see if now we have a working version. Go here, reload the page. All right, looking good, looking good. Final thing, we need to fix this here. This should be like something like a logo. So we are going back to our code, to our Navbar, and first I want to import a custom font. Oops, sorry. From next font, Google, okay, and the font name is this one, Lita 1. Okay. Now, same stuff as in our layout. Font is Lita 1, weight 400, and subsets this. Seems like we have an error here. Oh yeah, this is a string, this is not a number. Okay, perfect. So let's add our font here to our div. Class name with backticks, and they'll have font class name. That's it. And now some additional classes. I want a bigger text here, and on dark I want this text amber color. This looks good. Now we only want to cut this and add it to some span. We'll add class name purple text 500. And yep, I think this looks good. Moving on. Okay, last thing, this theme switcher. I want to go back to our theme switch TSX and add some basic stylings here in our button. First, I want border, and the border should be purple 500. Yep, that's the one. I want to be rounded to a cell, and of course some padding. Okay, now some hover effects. Very easy actually in Tailwind. We only have this hover class with background, let's say purple 500, right? And also I want it on hover to have opacity of 10, which is basically a 0.1. Yep. And maybe when it's dark, yep, this, yeah, I think this looks good. Great. Okay. I think we are finally ready to add Sanity CMS to our project. Alright friends, now we are here at the Sanity.io web page. First, we'll go here to developers, documentation, and then getting started. Down below, I'll click on create a project. So here we can see a command which we'll paste into our terminal. Okay, copy and go to our terminal. Now I'm going to open another terminal. I will paste this command here and go here and rename our project. This is a default name. I don't want this one. I will call it GROQ CMS, for example. Okay, and now press enter. Now just wait a few seconds. Okay, so if you already have a Sanity account, we will continue without this step, but if you don't have it and you are logged out of your Sanity account, they will ask you to first log in or create it. So in my case, I'm going to create a new Sanity account using Google. Just press here. Okay, now it should pop up in your web browser. Okay, I will just... Okay, now click accept terms of service and continue. Okay, we logged in successfully and created an account. We can close this window and go back to our terminal. Now we need to answer some questions here in our terminal. Would you like to add the configuration file for a Sanity project in this Next.js folder? Yes, we want to embed our studio to our project. Do you want to use Typescript? Yes, of course. Would you like to embed Sanity Studio? Yes, I want to embed it. Would you like to use Next.js app directory for routes? Yes, I want to do that. Yeah, Studio sounds perfect. And we want a clean project with no predefined schemas. Would you like to... Okay, so this is interesting. Would you like to add the project ID and dataset to your env file? Yes, we want to do that because they will automatically assign those files into env folder, env file. So we don't need to do that by ourselves. Now just wait a couple of seconds and we should be ready to go. Great, the installation has finished and we can now start with setting up our project. First, I want to show you the projects that Sanity generated for us. We have here sanitycli.ts and sanityconfig.ts. Here we can customize our Sanity Studio and I will show you that a bit later. Of course, they added an env file for us, but if you can see it here, it is currently tracked in our Git. Also, they gave us warning here. So we want to use env.local for any secrets. And I recommend you to do that. So I will just rename this file .env.local. So now it is not source control. So if when we push this folder to Git, we won't push our secrets, our configuration from Sanity. Moving on. Okay, how we can now access our Sanity Studio? If you see here this folder structure, in our app, they created a Sanity folder for us. So inside this Sanity folder, we have a client, which is a configuration file basically for Sanity. Image.ts is a file which we'll use later for getting images from Sanity. env, okay, so this is Sanity's envs and schemas. We will type our schemas later in this file. Okay, now if I go up, you'll see in our app folder here, we have a studio file with some subfolder and page inside. This actually provides us with possibility to access Sanity Studio right from our application. So let me just do that. If I go here, /studio, it should open up. First time it will be a bit laggy, but yeah, it should open up our studio here, which is currently embedded in our app. We'll wait a few seconds. Okay, great. Sanity gave us a warning. So we need to go to our account, to our project, and add this URL as a course origin. Okay, just press here continue. We'll need to log into your account. I will use my Gmail account I created earlier. And yeah, that's it. We are here to Sanity. Okay, they have this growth plan trial here for us. Cool. Okay, I will close this. And yeah, here you just need to press add course origin. Okay, now when we go back to our Sanity, we can log in to our embedded Sanity. Okay, we need to authorize first. Great, here we are. For now, we don't have any schemas, so our Sanity CMS is empty. Now, the problem here is that Sanity is embedded to our website. And since in Next.js we have our layout folder, which wraps up every page, we need basically to create a new separate layout specifically for our studio. And thankfully, Next.js gives us that opportunity. So I'm going just to my browser, I'm going to type Next.js route groups. Okay, here in their documentation, you can see that we can use these route groups first to organize our routes into groups just for better readability. And second, if we have these nested layouts. And here they give us an example. So what we need to do is to create a folder, new folder with these brackets, and then insert our layout, which is connected with this route, and layout, which is connected with this route, and so on and so on. So let me do that. Okay, now I want to go here and create a new folder. Like documentation mentioned, I'm going to create it in brackets. So first we'll have, for example, admin, and another folder will be, let's say, client. In our admin, we'll have Sanity Studio, and the rest of the application goes into the client. Perfect. Now let's go here and just drag and drop this studio folder to our admin folder. Yes, we want to move it here. Update imports. Yes, we want to do that. Okay. Perfect. And now we need to drag and drop everything else into our client. This page goes here. Yes. And this layout goes here. Yes, and I think this global CSS file also, we can put it here. All right, that's great. Now, let me just save this here, close it, and let's see what we got here. Now, as you can see it, our studio is here. And if we go back to our localhost 3000, we'll have another separate layout, which is great. Now I want to basically to utilize this new layout structure and add to our Sanity Studio also a custom navbar. But first, let me just go through this quickly again. Yeah, so as you can see, when we are accessing our studio, we go like from localhost/studio/structure, and if we go back, we can access our main page only from localhost. So that's the point with these brackets. Basically, we are evading this in URL and just using it as some kind of a structure for our web application. It's more like an organizational thing, right? Okay, so now let's create a new component, which will be called new file. We'll call it, for example, CMS navbar.tsx. Yeah, CMS navbar. Perfect. Now we'll go here and create a new React component. I want first to import link from next/link, right? I want to import a new font, our Lita 1 from Next Fonts. Perfect. And I think that's it for now. I also want to add this font. We'll call it just font. Yep, that's perfect. We only need to add font weight here, which is 400, and that's perfect. Now let's get back to styling down there. I will add some classes here, class names. So flex, justify between, and items center for centering it. We'll add some padding on the top and the bottom, and a bit more padding on the left and the right. px5, let's say something like that. Okay, now I need my link with href. Okay, and inside our link we want our logo. So I can go back to our navbar and just copy and paste this. Copy and paste it here. Okay, we need to close this div. And yeah, I think this is good for now. Let me just go back. Oh yeah, sorry, we need to embed our layout, our navbar, CMS navbar to admin's layout. If I go back here, I only want to go here and add CMS navbar. Perfect. Now, if I go back, studio, oops, it seems like we have an error. And this is hydration error. So I think you already know how to fix this. If we go back to our client and layout, we'll see that we have this provider here. So we need to do basically the same. Okay, moving on. Sorry. This should be inside our body. I think this was the thing that caused this hydration error. Yeah. Now, as you can see, now it's fixed, but we also want to add this provider, but maybe, yeah, we'll add it just in case. In case we need it. Save, and perfect. We embedded a new navbar into our Sanity Studio. All right, now I want to also add some icons. We'll go to our SVG repo and add a back arrow. I think we're going to use this one, and as earlier, I will pause my video here to edit this SVG and we'll paste it back to our site. All right, we are now back, and here is our icon. I will just drag and drop it here so I can access this SVG file, copy, and we'll go back to our no utils, but component, and go to icons, and as usual, create a new icon, which will be something like back arrow icon. Yep, exactly. Return and paste our SVG here. Okay, I think this is perfect. So now we can go back to our Sanity CMS navbar, go here on the, yeah, I think we can restructure this a bit. So I will create a link here with href sorry, no admin, but only slash, because this will be our back icon. And inside of this link, I will import our, what was the name of this icon? Back arrow icon. Okay. Back arrow icon. Okay, perfect. And now we won't need this link here down there. We'll copy, cut it, and yeah, I think we are good to go. Okay, perfect. But now, as you can see, although we added some stylings here, we do not have that styles. And why is that? Well, because our global CSS file where we imported Tailwind is only on the client, specifically in the client folder. So now we only need to copy it and paste it inside our admin subfolder. Let me just do this. So we need to copy it and paste it to our admin folder here. I will just create a new file, globals.css, and copy everything from here and paste it here. Okay, now if I save this and reload the page, we don't get nothing. And why is that? Well, because we want to go to layout and import our globals, right? Yeah, exactly. With the slash, yeah, perfect. So now when we go back, we can see our styling is applied. So we can now easily switch from our app to Studio. Perfect. I think we are now ready to go and create our first sanity schema. All right, now let's go back to our code and go to our sanity folder here and create a new folder called Schemas. Inside that folder, first we can create a new file called post.ts. Inside the folder, we'll start creating our schemas. First thing, let's create an object, const post, and start adding our fields. First, we need to add name, and that will be post. After that, we're going to add a title, which will be post with capital P, and type is document. Okay, perfect. Now, next step is to define fields for our post schema. So we're going to start typing fields, and first field will basically do the same. So I'll just copy here, and paste it here. First field will be title with the title here, capital, and that's type of string. Now let's just save here and test it to see if this actually is working. But before that, we need to import this post schema to this file, schema.ts. And how to import it? Well, just go here and start typing post, yep, and we'll automatically import it. Save, and now go back to our studio, and yeah, in our content tab we have our post, and if we click here, we are able to create a post with only this first field which we defined, and that is title field. So now we're going back and we'll start defining other fields. Next thing is slug. So we'll name it slug with a title of slug. The type will not be string, the type will be slug. So that's the type from the sanity, and we need to add another field, options, and that's an object which has source prop key, and the value is actually based on what field we want to generate the slug. So the common logic and sense is to generate the slug based on the title. So we need here to add just title. That's the name of this field. Okay, now if I save and go back here, we'll see that we got this automatically generated field button, which will generate the title. For example, if I go here, hey YouTube, and click this generate, it will generate us automatically a slug based on this title. Perfect. Moving on. Next field, we'll have a published date. So the name is published at. The title will be published at, and the type will be date time. Save. Yep, here we go. Now, next thing, we are going to add a new field. I'll just copy and paste this object and just update the fields. So name will be excerpt, and the type will be text. That's a short field for our blog post, which will be displayed on the main page. And now we need to add actually a rich text element, which has, I will copy this again, paste it here. The name would be a body, and the title body with capital B. And this is important part. This is type of array in this new version of Sanity. Now we need to add of value, which is basically an array. Okay, and this we need to define what type of array is this. So if we want to use a rich text element, this will be type block. So basically this array will contain heading, which is a block, paragraph, which is a block, image, which is a block, and so on and so on. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Okay, let me just quick save this and go down there. Okay, so you can see we can type, we can add headings, so on and so on, but we don't have an image possibility to add image. And if we want to do so, we need to add another key value pair here, and that's type of image. And this is an optional field totally. Fields, which will be an array of objects. So the type here is text, name is alt, and title is alt. So I think you already guessed what I did here. When I add image, you can see now we have possibility to add an image, upload, go to our images, choose an image, and when the image is uploaded, we can add an alt tag. So that's great. Okay, moving on. One final step is to add a field for our tags. But before adding them, we need to create a new schema specifically for them. Before that, I want to add some validations to our fields. So these all three fields needs to be required, and we want here, for example, to have a default date, which is today's date, and so on and so on. So let me just go back here and start adding some validations. So in this object, we'll need to add a validation key. And for the value, we have a callback function, which receives a role, which is a type of a role, which we can import from Sanity. Yeah, that's right. Perfect. Okay, and now we are taking this role, which is basically a method that has its own method required. And got error method inside, where we can specify our message. We'll only type here required. Okay, perfect. Now I want to add this line of code to every block. Here in excerpt, we want to add a new role. that it won't be only required, but we need to specify the maximum number of characters we want to write. To do that, we need to go to delete here and say max, define number of characters, let's say 200 characters, and then error with message max 200 characters. All right, that's good, that's good. And now I'm going back to the date. We need to specify a property called initial value. Okay. It's also a callback function, which will only return a new date. Sorry, it's a new date to ISO string. Okay, perfect. Now, if we save this and go back to our page and reload, highlight the new post here, try to save it. For example, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you see, now we have this field required. We need to generate it. We have a default date here and so on and so on. You can test it out. Okay, moving back to our project, going to Schemas folder, and I want to create a new file called tag.ts. Okay, perfect. Like before, we need to export const tag, which is equal. So we can, this is another way of creating a schemas in Sanity. You can use define type from Sanity. Okay, like this so. And now we can create a name. So if you see now, maybe this is a better approach because when we start typing, it will give us a recommendation. Okay, so this will be a tag. So guys, you can use whatever you like. I just wanted to show you all the possibilities you have with Sanity. Okay, next is title. This will be tag. Next is type, and that's document. Okay, and the next field is fields. That's an array of objects. So first is name, title would be tag name, and the type, of course, string. Perfect. And we want to create another object. This will be a slug. Title also slug. And of course, type is slug. Now options for the slug. When we need to specify source, and the source will be name this here. Prettier, save, and that's it. Now, if I go back here, we won't see anything because we did not import this tag to our schema.ts. Tag, save, reload, and yeah, great. We now have an option to create a new tags. Okay, now how to connect these tags with these posts here. So we need to go back to our post and add a new field at the end. This field will have name of tags. Title would be tags with a capital T. And of course, type is an array because we can have a multiple tags for each post. And array of what? Well, array of type is reference. So we are referencing tags to our posts here. The next is to specify to what we want to reference these tags, these posts. So to basically the same type tag. Okay, so we are referencing this field to what? To this type tag. And what is that type? How we know that? Because of this name, type tag. Okay, perfect. Okay, now if we reload this, we want to create a tag, for example, JavaScript, generate slug, publish, and we can add a new one, Flutter, generate slug, publish. Perfect. Now we are going back to our posts, to our first post, and we have now ability to add new tags. If I click add item and just start typing, for example, this, I can now have all that documents published. Perfect. Now I want to use ChatGPT to add a couple of blog posts. I will pause this video here and get back to you. Well, thank you ChatGPT for providing us with the content for our blog post here. We have tags, a couple of them, and we have 5 blog posts. You can see we have decent text. In some of them we have, besides the text and the image and tags, and everything is set. So just to remind you guys, when you finish writing your posts, you need to publish them here. Don't forget to do that. Okay, now moving on to our application and start coding. But first, let me just go real quick here and type GROQ. So what is GROQ? GROQ is basically a query language which Sanity uses under the hood. Very similar to GraphQL, and I will show you here how does this language works. Okay, so we have, for example, collection of our movies, so that's the type movie. In our case, the type is post, right? And we want to return every movie which has a release year which is greater than 1979. So that's a basic example. So when we go back here to our Sanity Studio and go here to Vision, we have this playground where we can play with our queries and test them and so on and so on. First, if I type here asterisk with this and just fetch, I'll get all the documents from our Sanity CMS. But I don't want to do that. I want to only to get all these posts. How to do that? Well, I need to type underscore type equal to post. And why that? Because that's the name of our document here. Okay, and when I hit fetch, I'll get all the 5 documents. Perfect. Now we can query and get, for example, if I add this curly braces here like an object and I only type, for example, no type title, and now fetch, I'll only get these documents, these blog posts and their titles, and so on and so on. Let's implement that to our application actually. So we can type here, we will need slug, we will need published date, just let me see, yeah, this published that. We also need a field excerpt, and I think we are good for now. Oops, sorry, I forgot to add commas here. Fetch, yeah, perfect. We have title, published, and excerpt. Okay, I think this is fine for now, so we can just copy this query to our application. Let's go back. We don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this. We are going back to our app, client, and main page. Okay, perfect. Now, what we are going to do here. First, let me go up and import client from sanity lib client. Perfect. So we want to use this sanity lib client here, and this is a helper which we'll use to query our sanity CMS. Let's go now and write async function and we'll call that function get posts. Perfect. So since we are using Next.js 14 and newer versions with app folder structure, basically all the pages by default are run on the server. So we can run directly here and write our function for querying sanity CMS. Okay, const query will be equal to what? Well, to this. We'll need to copy this, go back and paste it between these back ticks. Prettier and okay. I think this is okay for now. Now we need to store that into a variable called data, await, and then we'll call this our client, which has a fetch method, and we only need to paste our query here. So this variable query. Perfect. Okay. Where we're done, we only need to return our data. Okay, perfect. Now, so how to get these posts to our page? Well, that's simple. We just go here and type const posts. We'll store all the posts to this variable and we'll just call await and await this get posts function. Okay, but now this is await, and if you want to use await in this parent function, in main function, we need to make it to be async. So we'll only just type async here, and that's all. So maybe you're wondering, but why we don't use effect here? Well, because as I mentioned, this component, this whole page runs on the server, so we don't need to use effect here hook. We can just console log here directly, and that will work out of the box. So that's perfect. Console log posts. Let me just, yep, these are posts. So yeah, if I now save this and go back to our page, let me just go back here. Okay, if I inspect this, we won't see nothing here. We'll address these errors a bit later. So I need to go back to our terminal, and yeah, here they are. We are logging it into our console because this is a server side. Okay, now we only need to loop through the data and create a post. First things first, I want to create a basic UI. Let me go to the components, right click, new file, and create a header component. Header.tsx. Okay, I want to do this because I don't want to repeat myself with the same code in every page, and I will create a header component here which will have basic title for the page, and we'll pass that title as a prop. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so this will be a header. It will return a header, semantic HTML. Inside we'll have a h2, which will return a title. Okay, and the title, we'll get that from props, title. Okay, and I want to create an interface here called props, which will have a title, and that will be a type of string. Okay, I will assign this type here. Perfect. Okay, that's good. Now let's add some class names here, some padding maybe. And okay, let me just first import this here. So instead of this, I want to import this header component. Header, yep, from components, and we want to send a prop here title, which will be, let's say, articles. Okay, let's save, and yeah, here they are. Perfect. Now let's get back to our component, header component, and add some stylings here. Okay, I want to add some padding. 4, so padding left and right, some margin bottom. I want to text center everything here. I want to add a border bottom. Okay, and in the dark mode, this border, I want to be border purple, this one, so darker shade. Okay, now for the class names for the h2, for the title, I want everything to be uppercase. I want a bit bigger text, so I think this is fine. To Excel, center it with a margin, and I want to add some maximum width so we don't have any overflow issues and so on. Let's say to Excel, and of course font bold. Okay, I think we are good to go for now. Let's go back. Okay, this looks good. Nice. Moving on, going back to our main page, and we'll add here a div which will hold all our posts. So we need first to check if the post. Okay, let me just fix this because I want recommendations here, and we don't know what kind of post we are receiving from the server because we did not add type here. And I want to go to my utils folder and create a new file, which will be interface.ts. Inside our interface, I want to create an interface for our post. I'll export interface from here, which will have a name post, and we'll have fields. Title with a type of string. We'll have a slug, which will not be string. And let me show you. If I go back here to our vision, you can see that slug is actually an object with a current inside of it. Key, which has a value which is actually a string. So we're going back now. Sorry, let me just here. Okay. So object with a current, which is actually a type string. Perfect. Now we have a published at, which is a type string. We'll have excerpt, which is a type string also. We'll have body. For now, we'll add any, because that's basically an array of blocks. So we don't need to waste our time here for creating a type for that currently. After body, we have tags. So tags will be an array of type tag, and we'll create this tag right now. But before that, only left field here is ID, which is type string. Okay, perfect. Now let's create a type for interface, actually for tag. We'll have a name string. We'll have a slug, which is basically the same as here. We'll have an ID, which is type string. Okay, I think this is good for now. Maybe we'll update these interfaces a bit later if we need to do that. Let's get back to our page and start creating. Now these posts can receive their type, which will be a post and array of posts. Exactly. Perfect. Now let's go here and we'll first check if we have posts. So posts.length is greater than 0. So if that's true, then let's map through our posts and return. Okay, for now I will return only a p tag, like something like that, with a key post.id. Okay, and this p tag will only display title. So let's see if this is working. Yeah, okay, here are the titles. Now, the better approach here is, I think, to create a separate component for these posts, because we are going to use these posts on every page, basically. Now I'm going to components, creating a new file, which is called post component.tsx, and let's start creating this component. Let me just delete here. And first I want to import the link. Okay, from next link, and that link will lead us to the post pages. But before that, we need to add actually post data here, and we'll receive that data from our props. So post, I'll create an interface here, which is called props. For now, it will only have post, and the type is post, the post we just created. Now let's add it here. Let's add a type here, and yeah, perfect. Okay, this link will add href, and this will link to /posts/post.slug.current. Okay, we currently don't have this page, but we'll create it a little bit later. Okay, inside our link, we want to add h2, which will be post.title. Below that, we want to add p tag, which will be post. Let's go with publish that. Okay, and below that, I want to add a post excerpt. Okay, perfect. Let's get back to our code. Oh, sorry, we need to import this component. Okay, we'll go here and import it. Okay, we need to add a key here. That is post.id, and we need to send the props. So post is equal to post. Okay, this is good. Perfect. Now we here can see all our data. Excellent. Going back to our post, and I now want to add some styles. I will add class name here, and instead of traditional way of adding Tailwind classes here, I want to create a separate variable for this, because this will have quite a bit of classes. So I will add here const. This will be a card, so I will name this constant card style. And here I'll pass that card style. This is something like similar like you would do in React Native. Okay, and now we'll add some margin bottom. We'll add padding p4. We'll add a border with a color of border gray, 900. Border needs to be rounded. Okay. Shadow, small, and shadow color. Class is shadow purple 950. Now I want to add some hover effects. First shadow OMD. Then I want to change the background color to purple if we have light mode. Also hover text white, and hover dark BG gray 950. So when we hover, when it's a light mode, we'll have this purple background, and when it's a dark mode, we'll have this sorry, this is gray. Gray color. Okay, let's go back. Nice. Okay, we are getting there, I think, almost. Now let's add some styles to other parts of our code. For example, let's go with H2, but this H2 will have a custom font, so first I need to import fonts. So import from next/font/Google. Nice. Okay, let's go down there and store fonts to our variables. We'll have a multiple fonts. So the first one will be Lilita 1, which we used earlier, and the second one for the dates will be this one, VT323. Main one is this one. We want to add weight of 400s and of course subsets ladder. I will copy paste this, and this variable will be called date font, and it will receive this font. Okay, perfect. Now we are going back to our H2 and adding some class names in a backticks first. So font.className, perfect, and some other styles. Text to Excel and dark, text slate 300. Okay, this is cool. Okay, let's go to our date. We'll add class name same like for the H2, but with a difference of another font. So we don't want to use this one, we want to use this one, date font. Okay, that's it. And I'll add some other classes. Margin top and bottom 8 pixels, so my2. And also text purple, let's say 800. Okay, this looks good, but I don't like this date formatting, so I want to use this function from JavaScript. So new date, we pass our date to this function and only call method to date string. Okay, now this looks good. Moving on to our last paragraph here. We'll only add some basic class names here. So on the dark mode, I want this text to have that grayish color. So gray 400, let's see. Margin bottom 4, yep. I want to add some line clamp, just in case that we receive a longer string here, but I don't think we're gonna do it. We'll receive a long string because we manage that on our Sanity backend. But just in case, I think it's a good practice to also manage that on your frontend. Okay. I think we are all set now. We have a light mode. Great. This looks really good, in my opinion. Perfect. Now let's move on. Next thing, we need to add tags. And I'll go back to our vision here, to our playground, and I want to add a field, tags. Okay, if I now fetch this, you will see something strange here. We'll get these strange properties, and we won't see here name, slug, etc., the things we need. And why is that? This is because this is a reference field, and we need to resolve first that field in order to see the real data. And how to do that? Because this is an array, we need to add these brackets, square brackets, and this arrow. If I now again fetch this data, we will see that now that the tags field, which is a reference field, is resolved, and we are able to see all the data from here. So this is great. Okay, let's do this in our front end. But one thing, let's say we don't need this, and so on. We need only a couple of fields. So I can extend that. I can return an object with fields that we need. So we need ID, we need a slug, and we need a name. So let me fetch this again. Perfect. Current slug ID slug name. Excellent. So I will only just copy this here and go back to our code, go back to our page, and I will add this here down below. Okay, let's save it. And now we should have access to our tags in our post. So I'll go down there, I'll add some comment here. So this is where the tags go. I'll create a div. Inside div, we'll loop through our tags. So we first need to go to post, then tags, and then map. This will be a tag, which will return span actually. Yep. And span will have tag dot name. And before this, I want to add this sign, and we need to add key for this. So tag dot ID. Nice. Let's check this out. Okay, we are now seeing all our tags. We need to address styling a bit, but that's it. Let's go here and add some class names. First, I want some margin on the right, some padding. I want rounded borders. Text small, yep, and everything should be lowercase. We need to add some background here. When it's a dark mode, I want background to be gray, this dark gray. Also, I want to add a border here, border, and dark border should be this bit lighter version. Okay, let's see this now. Nice. Okay. In light mode, everything works perfectly. So we can now start creating our single page in our application. Now, before creating a new single page, I want to go back to our main page and type down below export const revalidate. And let's say 60. This is a very important step, and naming is also very important. It's crucial. So what does this mean? This means that Next.js automatically does the caching for us. So if you do not do this and deploy your application, when you, for example, add a new blog post in your Sanity CMS and publish it, it will need a long time to actually fetch again that post and for you to see it in your application because of the caching, and that's a perfect thing. But with this here, we are actually saying to our Next.js application, sure, let's do the caching, but please refetch again all the data in 60 seconds. So, for example, we are on our main page and we are getting our blog posts. We are moving around. That's everything happening with that initial fetch and that cached data. So we do not spend any more resources on fetching it again. But when the 16 seconds have passed and we reload the page, we will make initial fetch. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now, when I go back to our post component, I told you earlier that our path here for that single page will be posts and then the slug. So we need to create a dynamic route. And how to do that? Well, in our client here, let me just quickly, yep, that's okay. Now we need to create a new folder with the name of posts. Okay, inside of it, we need to create a new folder with this square brackets notation. And we will call it slug. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. I can write here test or whatever, but it's important for now to be slug because this page will be generated based upon our slug here. So now enter, but okay, this is wrong. This is not file. This needs to be a folder. Slug. Okay. And inside our slug, we need to create a file which is called page.tsx. Again, this is very important. The naming convention is like this. So you must name it like I did it here. Okay. We'll create a basic structure here. Okay, perfect. So now we are ready to implement our page. Let me just quick go here and let us immediately import our header here. Header, yeah. Now we need to pass title here, which will be, for now, dynamic page. Okay, now if I go back to our post and I go here, you'll see that this will link us to our dynamic page. Now we need to find a way to fetch the data and display it here again. So how to do that? Well, you see we have these posts and the here URL is actually a slug. So all we need to do is go to our sanity here and update a bit this. And how to do that? Well, first we are going to add this one condition with end, and we need to check our slug. If so, give me back all the documents with a type of post and the document which has slug. So slug.current is equal to actually a document name. So I will only just copy here and paste it over here. Okay, now fetch, and yeah, here we got our desired item. So that's the similar thing which we're going to do now in our application. Okay, have in mind, in order to test this, you can, in this playground, you can add variables, and this is the right way to do. So I will add a variable slug and I will paste this here. Okay, and now all I need to do is to remove this. And add a $sign slug. If I fetch this, I will see this again. So now what we need to do is to paste this, copy this and paste it into our code over here. So let's create an async function like before. Async function. The name will be get post. Okay. We'll have receive a slug with a type of string. Perfect. Now let's do the same thing. We need to define our query. Const query is equal to backticks, and I will paste the code from our sanity. Okay, but now we need this slug to actually be this variable. And how to do that? Well, it's quite simple. We only need to remove this, add strings here, that's important part, and dynamically insert this variable. Okay, this should do the work. Now we'll store this query into a variable post. It is equal to await client from sanity. That's right. Sorry. Fetch and pass here our query. Perfect. Last thing, of course, return our post. Nice. Okay, now we are going to our component and we are going to call a function, let's say post, which is equal to await and get post from above. This is await, so this component, it needs to be an async function. So here, async, perfect. Now, if you hover over, yes, we need to actually pass a slug. And how we can get a slug? Well, from the parameters. In our Next.js application, we can call here params, and this will need to have a type of params. Okay, and the params, I'll add a custom interface over there, interface, params. Okay, so params will be an object with a slug of string. And if you're wondering how do I know that, well, if you actually console log here, let me just show you. Params, yep. Oh, sorry. I misspelled this, and if I console log here, you will see all the params. Yeah, it's actually a Next.js thing, so every route has its own params, and params are basically an object which have slug inside of it. So now all we have to do is to pass to our function these params. So params.slug. And we can now safely console log the post. And yep, that's the one. Nice. One thing, this is an array. So this here returns an array. We are certain definitely that we'll have only one post by the slug, so it is safe here to add return me first of array. Okay, so now we'll get an object, which is much easier to manipulate in our case here. Now let's start implementing some styles here. First, this won't be title here, will not be any more dynamic page, but post. Again, we don't use effect because this is everything server component and we can directly manipulate the data here. So post.title. Okay, one thing, if you noticed, the code does not recognize the type of the post, and we need to assign that first. So here I will import our post from utils interface, and that's all. Now we can see a title here. If I go back, click here, we'll get this. Perfect. Let's move on. Below the header, I will add a div, which will have only one class name, and that is text center. Then I want to add a span here. Yep. Which will be post publish that. But we don't want to use it like this. We want to format this date immediately. So like earlier, we're going to use a JavaScript function, new date, paste it here, and of course, apply method to date string. Perfect. Now let's add some classes here. Let's go class name. And if you remember correctly from our post component, we imported this font here. I will do the same here. So whatever. Oops, sorry for this. Paste. Now we only need to import this font. Yeah, that's perfect. Going back here and some backticks, and we'll type date font, right? Date font, class name. And of course, this text purple 500. And if you now save, yeah, this is what we need. Great. Moving on. We'll here add another div, and that div will have a class name of margin mt5, so margin top 5, and we want to display all the tags from this post. Of course, we are going to go to our post, then tags, and map through tags. Okay. Now return a link. I want the user to be able to click on this and to go to our tags page, which we'll be creating shortly. Okay, this is a key. So tag.id. And we need also a href, which will go to page under the folder tag. And of course, our tag dot slug dot current. Same stuff as earlier. Now we are closing our link, and inside link we can add span, which will hold same way like before, tag dot name. Okay, let's go back. Perfect. We'll add some styles here a bit. Just a reminder, we were able to loop through all these tags because we resolved this field. Okay, now let's add some classes. Class names. Let's go with margin right. Actually, guys, you know what? I'm going to go to the, let me just see where, yeah, this one. Basically, these are the same classes. We can later create the component for the tag. But for now on, this is fine. Okay, save. Yeah, this looks very, very good. Let's find some tag with some blog post with multiple tags. Yep, that's the one. Perfect. Now I think we are ready to go and create actually a body of our blog post. Now, before creating a rich text element, first need to go to our Sanity and add a new library. So just go to your browser and start typing Sanity text to React. Okay, so this is the one, portable text to React. And if we go down there, we'll see, we'll see a documentation. So just copy this command, go to your VS Code. I will kill this terminal and paste this command. Okay, now we can npm run dev again. Perfect. All right, now I'll space this up and we can now import our component portable text. Right. This is a self-closing component which needs to receive some props. First is actually a HTML that needs to be rendered. So value, and it will be a post.body. If we save now here and go to our next application, reload the page, we should be able to see our data. Let me just go back, click here and hard refresh it. What's going on here? Oh, yeah. We need to, yeah, we have a problem here. We forgot to add a body here. So if I go back here and type body and fetch it, yeah, we can see it. So now I want only to add this here in our query. Our post already, I think it knows that, yeah, it has body. So if I now save and go back to our application, here we can see our body. Okay, this is perfect. Now, first things first, we need to do a bit of styling here. And there are a couple ways to do that. But in my opinion, the easiest way is to wrap everything with a div, like here, and move it up. And we want to add a class name here for this div, which will be a variable called rich text styles. Yeah, I think this is okay. And I'll go down below and create that variable. Let me just copy it and paste it here. And same as earlier, this will be the backticks with some Tailwind classes. So margin top, text justify, max width to XL, then margin order, save. Okay, this looks better. But now we need to use this prose class. So what does this do? Prose, like I mentioned to you earlier in the beginning of the video, it helps us with the styling of a rich text content. So in the Tailwind, you can add prose, a dash, and then let's say heading. We'll add mi5. Okay, then again, pros. Let's say, sorry, this is headings. These are headings because we want to target every heading and not specifically a H1, 2, or 5, or so on and so on. So headings, and this will be text to Excel. So we want a large text for this. Pros, I want all paragraphs to have a margin bottom 5. And also I want to add a class of pros p leading, which is basically a line height class in Tailwind. Let's save. Okay, looks good. But if you remember, this is all list item. These are list items, so we can do that in Tailwind also with this pros class. Pros, list item. So li colon list disk. Yep, that looks good. Also, class for line height, and lastly, pros list item, some margin left. Let's say 4. Okay, this looks very good now. But now, if you see, some of our posts have images. I think this one should have an image. Nope. Maybe this one. Yeah, this one. So mastering JavaScript. Let's check that out. Mastering, here you are. But as you can see, we don't see any image here. And why so? Because we need to add a bit of code to fix this. Okay, first things first. Images are component. So we have a possibility to add a prop here to our portable text. Let me just fix this a bit. Okay, this looks good. Okay, so we have components prop, and we can pass our components, which we can style. So this is where the image needs to go. I think if we go back here to our documentation, yep, you can see this. This is a perfect example of what we need. So I will just copy here this, and I want to paste it down below. So I don't need this marks. I only need an image here. Okay. For now, we'll just to remove these type errors, we'll add this here. And yep, I think this is okay. Yeah, we don't need this call to action also. I will remove it. Image is fine, but we want to use an image from Next. Did we import it here? Nope. Let me just do that real quickly. Yeah, from Next image. And for the source, we need to remove this. And if you remember, when we started this video, I showed you here in Sanity lib image.ts file. So we need to use this function they gave us. That's basically a function that helps us get images from Sanity. Okay, so here I'm going to type URL for image. Nice. And I will pass a value here. So that's source for our image. .url. Besides that, we need to add an alt tag. Let's say for now just post. Okay, we need to add a width to next image and also a height. Let's say 700 pixels. And I think we are good to go with here. Let me just apply prettier. Yep. And in these components prop, I'm going to pass this my portable text components. So if you want to style anything else, you can also add it here. Okay, let's go back. Okay, now we have this error that this is a common error in our Next.js applications because we need to add something to our next config files. Here, we need to add basically a domains. So the next application knows that they are our images, so not any third-party images. And to help to fix that, we need to go to copy this CDN Sanity.io, so this is where the images are hosted for Sanity, and go back to our next config file. So in earlier versions, you would have something, you would have a prop here called, I think, domains, and that domains were an array, and then you just paste all your domains where the images are hosted. But in these new versions of Next.js, specifically version 14, it's a bit different. So we need to go here, images, and add remote patterns. This is an array of objects, and the first and actually only our image provider is Sanity.io. So I will add a protocol, and the protocol will be HTTPS. Okay, and the host name is this thing I pasted. I copied here from our error. So CDN, this is HTTPS, CDN Sanity.io is where our images are hosted. So now our Next.js application knows that these images are safe. It is recommended to kill the terminal, restart server, and run it over. If we go back to our application and reload the page, we should see our image. Yep, here is it. Okay, I think we are all set up. So our page, our blog is already looking really, really, really good. So now next step is to create a page for our tags. Now, moving on to our code, I will close all these tabs here, put down this a bit, remove this, and okay. Perfect. Let's go to our client and create a new folder called tag. Okay, inside of it, we want to create two things. First is new page, new file called page.tsx. And the second thing is a new folder, same like here in posts. So in square brackets, we are typing slug, and inside that slug folder, we are creating a new page.tsx. Okay, perfect. Now I will close this slug and go to our page. So tags, page. Let's go here, RFC, and this will be our tags page. But I don't want here this to be a plural. I want to be this one. So we can access it by tag/JavaScript, tag/React, and so on and so on. Okay. Let me just go here. Command-Shift-P and restart extension host. Okay, this is good. Moving on. This will be tags. Let's see if that is working. So we'll go here and tag. Perfect. Okay, now what we need to do here? Well, we can go to our Sanity and quickly go to Vision, remove this, and quickly type another query. So it's similar like post, but we need to fetch all type of tag. If I fetch it, we can see everything. But of course, I want to reduce this to only fields that we actually need. So that's a name, that's a slug, and that's the ID for now. Later on, we will need one more field that we will create additionally. But for now, this is fine. So now I can copy this and go to my code and create a new async function, which will be called get all tags. We do not need any parameters here. And const query, just as usual. And inside our backticks, we are pasting our query. Perfect. Below that, just go and type const tags. It's a variable for storing our actual data from CMS. So client fetch query, same thing as on posts. Then last thing, return these tags. Perfect. Now, if you remember, we want to add a revalidate constant, which will be also 60. Don't forget to export it. Okay, we are good to go now. We'll go down there. This will need to be an async component, async function, because we need to await our response here. So tags, it is equal to await get all tags. And this, we need to assign an interface. Sorry, we need to assign a type here. So that will be a tag from, not here, but this, from utils interface, which is an array of tags. This is an interface we created earlier. Here, this one. Okay, moving on. Now I only want to console log it. Tags. Okay, perfect. We can see all the tags here. Now all we have to do is in our component import a navbar, which will have a title. Was this a title? Let me just check in. Quick components, header, title. Yep, that's the one. So title will be tags. I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe it's a wrong import. Let me just do that over. Let's go back to our post page and see. No, it's not navbar, it's header. Yeah. Okay, so we need to import our header here. Header, that's right, which has a title of tags. Perfect. Let's save. And yep, there we go. All right, now let's go down there, create a div, and we only need to look through all these tags. So tag, if their length is more than 0, so basically if we have tags, then map through them. So this will be a link from Next.js. We need to assign first key here. That would be a tag.id, and we need to assign an href. So the route will be in backticks tag, okay, and our slug basically here. So we can get our slug from tag slug current. Now we're going to create a div, and inside this div we can actually place our tags. So tag.name. That's for now. Okay. We can add some styling while we're here. So I want to add this class name here, some margin bottom, some padding, text small. Yep, that's good. Everything lowercase. In a dark mode, we want BG gray 950. Yeah, I think that's okay. We also want a border. On dark, we want border to be, let's say, gray. Sorry, border gray 950 or 900. Yep. And on hover, we want text to be purple 500. Okay, let's save this. Yep, I think this looks all right. just to see. Yeah, this is not good. I want this to be, I misspelled this, sorry. Border. Yeah, now it's okay. Okay, perfect. So now when we click, we have ability to go to the single page, which we did not create still, but okay, we are working on it. Next thing, we need to create this page. So this is okay. Now this page will also have a header. And with a title. For now, we'll hard code this title. Let's say that this will be posts per tag. Okay. So idea behind this page is to, when you go here, for example, on the article and click AI, it will lead us to the page where we'll have all the blog posts with that tag inside of it. So basically like a filtering system, something like that. Similar, if we go to all tags, let's say tag, and we click here, we want the same thing. Let me just quick see if this is working. Yeah, this is working. Okay, now we need to query our CMS, our Sanity, in order to get all the posts per tags. All right, now, so this type of query is a bit more complex than the previous ones. And why so? So let me just quickly demonstrate it here for you. Okay, now you would maybe think that this is an okay option here. So yeah, we are getting all the posts, and what posts were? Well, all the posts that have tags.current.JavaScript. Okay, let's fetch it. And unfortunately, no, that's not the case. What we need to do is use something new. And let me show you. So I will delete here and I will type here references. That's basically a function that can reference a type of field that is type of reference. So this function, it can receive two parameters. First one is the field that we want to reference, and the second one would be ID of that field. Also, we have a short way to do that. Simply we are passing ID of the reference field we want to actually reference, right? Okay, so how to do that? Well, first we need to get the ID. Let me comment this out and we'll uncomment this and fetch it. So we are now looking here for searching for the JavaScript. Yes, that's the one. And all we need to do is take this ID. Okay, now if I comment this again and comment this out, I will only need to pass here this ID. So fetch, and yep, that's the one. We have two posts with this ID, with JavaScript tag in it. Okay, excellent. So now we have two options. First option is to basically create two queries, and the second one, which I'll go with, is to do everything in one query. So how to do that? Let me just go here and I'll type it like this. So we first need a type that is equal to post. So we need post. Okay, what post do we need? Well, we need a post that references. And what does this post reference? Well, this post reference tag with specific ID. How we can write that? Well, we can do another query here. Yep, that's the one. Type equals to tag. In that tag, slug.current needs to be, I will hard code this value for now, for example, JavaScript. And only we need from this, it's actually ID. So dot ID. Okay, I think we can try this out. Okay, I misspelled this, reference. Okay, let me try now again. And yeah, it's working. Now we need to do is actually, instead of referencing this hard coded value, we need to add a dynamic one. So I will remove this from previous example, and let's say this will be a tag with something like JavaScript. Okay, and now all we need to do is reference it here. Okay, fetch the data. Sorry, I again misspelled this. And now if we fetch the data, everything works fine. So I will now copy this. Let me just expand it a bit for you to see it better. Okay, copy, and I'll go back to our page. So now let's create this function. This will be an async function. Get posts by tag. All right. Inside we'll create a query which will be equal to this one I copied earlier. Okay, now we need to do here. This will be a tag of the type string. Exactly. And only thing left to do is to pass dynamically this tag here. So I will remove this. I will add this, and inside we need to pass our variable tag. So this is it. Okay, now if I save this, I can return it to our variable. Let's say posts. It is equal to await our client from Sanity. Yes, that's the one. Dot fetch, and we are only passing our query here. Okay, perfect. And now we can return this. Posts. Okay, this is great. Now we are down here to our main page. Of course, this needs to be async in order to process this function here. So const posts is equal to await get posts by tag. Yeah, perfect. Okay, first things first, this we need to add a type for this, and that will be array of our interface post. Perfect. And now we need to pass an argument here. So what are we going to do? Well, we need to extract parameters from our URL. How to do that? Well, params, it will have a type of params. Perfect. Now we can just copy paste this params from our previous component, and this was posts here. Exactly the same thing. Okay, and now all we have to do is pass here params dot slug. Perfect. Let's save, and now we can console log this. Okay, now let's go to our page. Let's say JavaScript. Okay, check our console. Yeah, that's it. We got it. We got the post here. Okay, this is perfect. Now, of course, I don't want to receive everything. I want to receive only fields that I need. So what we can do is just go to our main page when we got all the posts, because basically this is the same query, only with some filters, and I will just copy this object here. Okay, we don't need this here, and just paste it. Let me now save this. Okay, now we have a more, I think a bit better optimized version of our query. Perfect. Now let's jump to coding and create our page here. Let me just pull this down. Okay, first things first, we will remove this title from this page, and we'll need to add a dynamic one. Now I will only add backticks, this, and I will dynamically add params.slug. So we are aware on which page we are. So is it JavaScript, React, or any other slug? Actually a tag. Okay, moving on. Below that, one div, and we will loop through all the posts. So posts, if actually we have posts, then go through them. Okay, and now what we need to return? Well, luckily we created our post component, so we can return that. This it needs to receive a post prop, which is equal to post, and of course, since we are mapping it, looping through it, we need to add a key property. That would be post.id. And yeah, I think we are all good. Perfect. The page is working. Let's go back. Let's go here. Perfect. This everything looks perfect. Okay. Now, I think something is missing. I want to be able, for example, from this page, I want to be able to go to a page where all tags are displayed. So I want to add it here. So let me just think through this. Okay, this is a header component. So maybe we can add another prop to this header component, right? Let's say if this header component has tags, let me just tags. This will be an optional parameter. So by default, it will be false. Okay. Tags. So by default, false. Oh, sorry. This is false. This is Boolean. This is type. Okay. And now we can go down there below this. So if tags, if this is true, then we can render a div, which will have a link inside of it. Which will go to /tag. Okay. And inside of it, we'll only add this string, tags. So just let me apply a few classes here. Okay, this is good. Hover, let's say text purple. Okay, save. And if I go back, let me reload the page. No, we did not add that prop. So this header is imported here, and we only need to pass a prop tags, which is true. Okay, now we can see this. And if I click it, we'll go back to our page. Okay, this is perfect. I think we can also add it here, for example, but yeah, you can do that. All right, this is good. This is good. Okay, now I want to have ability to see, for example, I want to add brackets here, and in brackets, I want to display a number of posts per this tag. So for example, 1, 2, 0, and so on. So let's jump into it. Let's jump back to our code. And as you can see, we already have mostly everything in this page. What we need to do is somehow get here a number of tags, of posts per tag, right? So how to do that? Okay, I will copy this query and go back to our sanity vision and paste it here. Okay, if I fetch, I'll get all the tags, right? Let me remove this, we don't need that. Fetch, okay, I think it's now more convenient for us. Now we can add a custom tag here. Let's say that will be post count, right? As you noticed, it's under the strings. So now we can here just type a number, fetch, and yeah, that's it. But we don't want to hard code this, of course. We want to somehow count posts. So in GROQ, we have keyword for that. It is a count. Okay, and what we want to count? Well, we want to count type that is equal to post, right? So type equal post. Okay, but now, as you can see, in every tag, we are counting every post we have in our database. So we don't want to do that. We want to use, again, a field called reference. Okay, actually a function called reference. So here I'll type end references. And what do we need to reference? Well, we need to reference tags here, right? So these are the tags for this specific post. And now we need to get, if you remember, ID from the tag. But now we have a bit different situation. So we are referencing, we are directly in this specific tag, right? So there's a sign we can use here in GROQ, and that's the caret sign, roof sign. So on my Mac is on Shift+6. I'm not sure though on Windows machine, probably the same. And then this is actually this tag we are in. So React, Flutter, featured, and so on and so on. So we can now access their ID by only typing .id. If now I fetch this, I will see this. So in Firebase we have one post, in JavaScript we have two posts, and so on and so on. Okay, that's perfect. I think now we can paste this into our code. Actually, we only need this, since we already have this query here. Okay, so just paste it here, and I think we're good to go. Okay, maybe one more thing, we need to update our types or interfaces, to be more precise. Let me just go there, and this is under the tag, so we can add post count. And that's a number. Okay, moving on. If I now go back to our page, we don't need this anymore. So here I'm able to access this here. So how to do that? Well, simply by adding it into brackets and just type tag.postCount. Right? Let's see. Perfect. Everything works perfect. All right. And I think we are pretty much finished here with our project. Let me just do the final touch-ups. As I mentioned earlier, I want this on main page to have a prop for tags. Yep. So if you remember, that's this here in our header component. So I'll go to our main page, which is here, and all I have to do is say this. So now the tags will be visible from here. That's perfect. And the last thing I want to do is, okay, just imagine you have this post here, and after some time you decide to delete it. So I won't be deleting it now, but I will just type here something which does not exist. And I press enter, and what we got is this. What we want to render here is a 404 page. And let me now just show it quickly how to do that in Next. So now I'm back at my Visual Studio, and I'll go quickly here to my client and post. So not slug, but post folder, and create a new file, which will be called notfound.tsx. So this is really important, the naming convention. So it must be named exactly like this. Okay, now we're going to create a component. Let's say not found page. Okay, this is export default, and this here we need to return a div. Okay, inside of it we'll only add a navbar. Sorry, inside of it we'll only add a header component with a title of something like 404, page not found. Okay, and now down there, another div with a link inside of it, which will be something like return home. Okay, and this link will lead us to homepage. Okay, perfect. So this is the first step. If we now go back and try to delete this, it will still get us this page, right? Because we need to do something else, something more. When do we want to trigger this function, so this component? When do we want to render it? Well, when there's no post, right? So we need to go to our slug and this page under the slug, go up there and import something from Next. So from Next navigation, and that's it. That's not found function. Now we go down there, and right before returning this component, this page, we want to check if there is a post. So if there is no post, we then want to call this not found function. So now if I go back and I remove some letters from here, it will lead us back to not found page. So we can go back home, and that's it. The important thing is that we invoke this function here in our page. So if you want to do that for the tag, you would need to do that also over there. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with our project, and we can now deploy it to ourselves. But before that, I almost forgot, we did not add to every our query here revalidation. So we are here in our slug, so I will add export const revalidate, which will be equal to 60. Let's go to our tag here, check the slug here. Yep, we also need to add it here. Let me just copy and paste this. Copy here from that and paste it here. Let me see here. This is fine. Yep, I think we are pretty much good to go. All right, let me go quickly here to my GitHub and create a new repository. I think this name is fine. It will be public, no description for now. Okay, create repository. Okay, now we need to go back to our code and follow these instructions. So let me just check first what we got here. Okay, we need to add everything. Now we can commit it. Let's say final project. Okay, git status. I think this is all fine. Now we'll follow these steps. So git branch, it's main, perfect. Now we need to connect our remote repository. Great. And now just push to our main branch. Okay, this is perfect. Now if I reload the page, we can see everything here working perfect. Now let's go to our cell. If you don't have an account, it's easy to create. Now I need to go here, just import our repository. And of course, before deploying, we need to add our environment variables. Just let me go quickly here to envs. No, this, but this, local, copy it and paste it over here. Okay, I think this is perfect and we can deploy it. We'll probably need to wait around a minute or so and I'll get back to you. Okay, friends, funny thing, I forgot completely to push everything we did. So let me go back to our code. Yeah, so deployment is done, but as you can see, we have this basic Next.js template. So now we need just to push everything here. I'll just say something like complete project and commit it. Okay, so this will trigger our main branch for GitHub, and it will start to deploy it here. So now we need to wait. As you can see, building. You can follow this here in deployments, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And finally, here we are. Okay, let's visit our page. We'll go here, and perfect. Everything works fine. Okay, we can visit the page. We can go tags. We can visit all the tags here. Nice. Light mode. Yep. Dark mode. Perfect. Let's go to our studio. Okay, final thing, we need just to press here continue. As we did same here and at the start of our project, now we need to add our URL as a course origin. Also, when you add your own domain for this project, for example, you would need to do the same thing. So just go continue, add course origin, come back, and finally we are all set and ready. You can see here are our posts, you can add a new one, and when you add, you can just here publish it, and that's it. So thank you guys once again, and see you again in my next video. Bye bye.